talking Royal Caribbean and answering your cruise questions. When we're not here, we're over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Happy Monday, everybody. Every Monday, we are live, internet permitting, hanging out with you guys, talking about the most important thing in the whole wide world, which, of course, is going on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Thank you for joining us here. Happy Monday, everybody. Glad to have you part of the fun, and we're going to answer as many Royal Caribbean cruise questions as we can, starting off with the most important question. How many days until your next Royal Caribbean cruise? Type your countdown in chat. Let's count down together. My next countdown is actually April 15th. I've got my next cruise on Mariner of the Seas. Got off of Wonder of the Seas yesterday. Still kind of weird that I was on a cruise ship yesterday. But we had a great time on there, live stream notwithstanding, but it was great. And of course, we're here to answer your Royal Caribbean cruise questions for the next hour. We have a ton of questions already in the chat. Thank you to all of our super chatters who already sent in the questions before the broadcast even began. Raymond Weaver has a super chat. Raymond, thank you for the super chat. Just wondering, the people that work at Starbucks on the ship, are they employed by Starbucks or by Royal Caribbean? They're employed by Royal Caribbean. They wear the Starbucks outfit, but it's Ray, it's kind of like if you've ever been to a Starbucks at like your local supermarket, if you've got one near you, or a Target. It's not an official Starbucks location. It's a licensed area, and they're Royal Caribbean employees. Cindy Burgos, thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate you, Cindy. Hi, Matt. Love your channel. Got the ultimate dining package for our cruise on Mariner. What are the limitations? Can we eat a dinner at a venue and come back for later for dessert, or go to a different place? Thanks for any help. Good question, Cindy. Honestly, the only limitation on Mariner is if you go to Playmakers, you can only go there once per day. But Chops, yeah, if you wanted to go to Chops for dinner and then James Italian for dessert, you could do that, certainly. Scott Holloway, thank you for the super chat. First cruise ever in 75 days on Voyager. You've been invaluable help. Thank you. Do both parties need to do the app check-in? Yes. Water drinks with ice safe in port. Yeah. I've had iced and drinks in Mexico. I live to tell the tale. Nothing too crazy happening there. There's risk with everything in life, but the certainly bottled water is the norm, Scott, in almost any place you go in the Caribbean, certainly, but certainly safe. And for the do both parties need to do the app check-in? Yes, they do. I mean, obviously, if you're on the same reservation, let me rephrase that. If you're on the same reservation, if you're sharing a cabin, no, you don't. But if someone's on a different reservation number, then yes, they do. Scott, thank you for the super chat. Angel, thank you for the super chat. Just went on my first cruise and got the cruise bug. Nice. Already booked my second. We love that. Your videos and website have been invaluable. Just want to say thank you. Well, Angel, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. And I'm so glad to hear you took a cruise and now you're in it to win it and do another one, or like 8 more or something like that. Cragen is our next super chat in the house here. Cragen, thank you very much for your question. Beach recommendations for Costa Maya or beach excursion with 5-year-old in December. Maya Chan. It's not the Royal Caribbean. You book it on your own. Just Google Maya Chan. It's a great spot, great service. Definitely my go-to place. No doubt about that. And Whipple, thank you for the super chat. Hi, Matt. 19 days till Odyssey of the Seas. When you reserve a show, do you sit in the front row seats that are reserved? Seems they never check if you have reservations or not. Well, no, they do check in a lot of cases, but you get basically your reservation for a show is not a reserved seat. It's just admission into the theater. So basically, it's the actual seating is up to you and first come, first serve basis. But what the reservation does is it allows you to get in there. People without reservations need to wait until a certain point, and then they can go in there for any leftover seats. Tom wants to know, is there anything onboard credit can't be used for? It can't be used for anything that you can't use your CPAS card for, Tom. Because remember, onboard credits, guys, you don't use an onboard credit to apply it to, I have $50 onboard credit. I want to apply it towards this purchase. It's a credit against your account. So if you spend $100 on your cruise total and on your CPAS account, and you have $100 onboard credit, then you'll owe $0, right? So just get something to keep in mind there. But yeah, it can be used on anything that goes against your CPAS account there. Lots of great countdowns in here. Love it. James, never done a New Year's Eve cruise, wants to know what to expect. It is a giant party. There will be tons of parties all over the ship. There'll be like a New Year's Eve type party in the Centrum or Promenade. There will be dance parties and boleros and various, there's the nightclub party somewhere on the ship, the oomph, oomph, oomph one. You're going to have more low key parties. You'll have a pool deck party. So a lot of different events happening throughout the ship, and you get to choose which one you want to go to, or you can hop between them all there. Let's see here. Cameron says, "Is it true you can't order 2 entrees in the main dining room at the same time anymore?" At the same time, you can order as many entrees as you want, Cameron, but they'll bring it out to you one at a time. Not a big deal. I mean, would I prefer to have 2 things there? Sure, but I just did 7 nights on Wonder. Was in the main dining room, ordered 2 or 3 entrees a night. I was fine. I had a very nice time nonetheless. Jason, thank you for the super chat. 536 days to Allure, 718 till Adventure. What do you recommend doing with kids in Nassau, 9 and 11? Atlantis is 500 a person. Yikes. Yeah, no, I would not do Atlantis. Jason, resortforaday.com. Resortforaday.com has some great resort options for you where you get a day pass to go to some fabulous places and enjoy the pool and the beach or both. And they're going to be far less than 5. Atlantis pricing is absolutely bananas. I don't know who it makes it's rivaling Coco Key at this point. So yeah, resortforaday.com. I love that. Mima did a vow renewal on Adventure. Awesome. Congratulations on the vow renewal. Love that. Beachy Mama, hello and welcome. Good to see you here. Maximilian in the house. Mike Wolf is here. Lots of our friends already checking in. Tony Diaz is even here. Like that. Stephen wants to know any updates on the future project at Freeport, Bahamas. No, but what's interesting, Stephen, is as I think you're aware, Royal Caribbean updated the Nassau Beach Club project in Nassau. So as far as I've been told, none of the projects, including the Freeport one that were announced pre-pandemic, have been canceled. They're all in just various stages of pause. So no updates is not necessarily a bad thing per se. I do believe the only update I can share is that I'm pretty sure it's public knowledge that the Grand Lucine is no longer part of whatever deal Royal Caribbean does over there. Michael Ramirez, thank you for the super chat. In the sushi making class, my wife doesn't like fish or the seaweed wrap. Do they have the option for steak and soy wrap? I'm not sure about that particular option. I have seen people go there, Mike, and they'll observe or pop in. Obviously, if they don't care for fish or seaweed, which is pretty much what sushi is all about, I'd add, you can certainly ask. My advice to you, Michael, is book it for yourself. When you get on board the ship, stop by Azumi and ask them. Maybe the answer will be yes. Maybe the answer will be no. At the very least, your wife could at least sit there and observe and kind of be part of the fun without actually doing it. She might enjoy that aspect. Or you could double up on all the food that she makes and you could eat it yourself. Lauren Lisco, thank you for the super chat. I want to book Maya Chan for upcoming cruise, but our port times are from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Is it worth it going for the day for an earlier time frame? Are they open that early? Any backup suggestions? Good question. I don't know if they're open at 7, and I don't know that you'd want to get off the ship at 7. I would reach out to them, Lauren. They're really responsive on their website. There's an email or a form or both. Fill it out. Contact them about what time they will open up for you. I mean, their whole business is based on the cruise industry, so it's not to say that they have really fixed times and they may be flexible with that. I don't know. But if you were there from 9 to 3, let's assume worst case scenario, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., I still think that's worth doing. I mean, yeah, you're not getting the full day there, but it's still a great amount of time. You're going to be there for, you could probably be there, it's about 1 or 1:30, depending on how aggressive you want to be with getting back before that 3 o'clock time. That's 4 or 5 hours. Hey, that's 4 or 5 hours well spent. Dennis, does MEI travel proficient with Mediterranean cruises? Yes. And do you have a favorite TA that you work with? Or is there's a lot of weird typing in here. They're all the agents at MEI Travel are great. Certainly, I'm always big fans of all the agents, especially the ones that show up in our chat here. We get a lot of them. Fox and Jen and Beth and Jennifer and Becky. We like Becky too, I guess. Right, Tony? I mean, I know the things you've told me about Becky, but just joking. They're all great, Dennis. But yes, they're very proficient in med cruises as well. Absolutely. Let's see here. Roy wants to know, love your channel. I was wondering what you do for a living. This RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com is my full-time job. By the way, here is Jen Green from MEI Travel. Not answering this question, but I just want to point out we got some awesome friends in the chat, and Jen is an MEI travel agent. Ethan Cole, Ethan, thank you for the super chat. Here is Ethan's message. Any experience at Turquoise Bay in Roatan? I booked the VIP experience out there, took your advice, and booked a hibachi lunch on Allure in October before they sold out. Nice on the hibachi lunch. Well done. As for Turquoise Bay in Roatan, I have not been there yet. Maybe the next time one of our writers go there, We'll have to check that up. I don't have any direct experience there. I apologize. CS, thank you for the super chat. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Cabanas Coca Key were $800-ish a couple months ago. Now it's looking like 1,200 to 3,500 for the same. Yeah, let me tell you something. And number one, this is true for the drink package, for Cocoa Key purchases, excursions. If you see a good price, book it and lock it in. Prices tend to go up over time. So, and of course, if there's ever a price drop, you could always cancel and rebook very quickly. So, yeah, pricing for Cocoa Key has, whew, sheesh, as the kids say. Spoiled Champ wants to know how many Icon class ships is Royal Caribbean planning on making. Right now, there are 3 on order, including Icon of the Seas, but they certainly could order more. They've kind of alluded to that fact. Ian Hunter, thank you for the super chat. 1 week since we got off Rhapsody this season. Now 250 and 424 days till Odyssey, and 733 till Icon. Also to note, we did have 2 cleanings a day on Rhapsody. Yeah, and thank you for the report there. Keep in mind that not all the ships yet have the once a day. They're slowly spreading it to all the ships out there. So, Ian, you got one last hurrah when it comes to twice a day cleaning for non-suites. Brock wants to know, are you nervous about Mariner not being ready for my sailing on April 15th? No. They did cancel one sailing. You're right, Brock. I know what you're alluding to, but chances of my sailing being impacted by the dry dock it seems extremely unlikely. It just that's a lot of time for it to go over, and unless you start seeing more than another couple being canceled, no, I have not even like an iota of concern, to be perfectly honest with you. Next question. These are great questions, by the way. Astro, thank you for the super chat. If I get the ultimate dining package, and can I book restaurants on the app myself once I get on the ship's Wi-Fi, or do I have to go to the restaurant to book it? You got to go to the restaurant to book it. Unfortunately, the app doesn't support that feature. It'd be nice if it did. It doesn't. Tanner, thank you for the super chat. Going on a mother-daughter cruise on Oasis next month. Nice. What specialty dining should be our must-do? Zumi Hibachi and 150 Central Park. No question. Let's see. Nathan's going for a solo cruise for the first time. Do many younger people do them? Would be my first cruise. Don't want to be way out of my depth. I don't know that a lot of first timers do. There's not a lot of solo cruisers to begin with, but I wouldn't say there's a ton that could do solo cruising. I mean, that does happen. It's not like it's unheard of, but I wouldn't necessarily go into it, Nathan, with this idea that like, oh, I need to be able to um the cruise is going to be good or bad depending on how many other people are there also solo around your age. I mean, at the end of the day, Nathan, remember, just because someone's there with somebody else, whether it's their family or a significant other or a friend or whatever, doesn't mean that they don't want to hang out and make new friends on board. That's part of the fun. So you'll love it. In terms of tips for them, here's some ways to meet people on board a ship. Especially if you're doing a solo cruise. Number one, go to trivia events. Go to any event you can, because the more events you do, the more opportunities you have to meet people. Sit at the bar. That's a great spot to meet people. Ordinarily, conversations get struck up over there. Do shore excursions, Royal Caribbean group excursions, and you're basically forced to go with other people. So that can work out very, very well there. Robert Murphy, thank you for the super chat. Have you heard anything about the Mariner? I wanted to change my April 10th cruise just in case Mariner got canceled and Royal Caribbean would not do anything to switch the ship or hold their ship for me. Robert, as I kind of alluded to, thank you for the super chat. I don't think you have to worry about it. I know the April 1st sailing was canceled. That is very much when Royal Caribbean cancels a cruise for a dry dock, it is very much an anomaly, an outlier. I think the chances that the next sailing, the April 6th sailing, and then your sailing would be impacted are pretty low out there. It doesn't happen that often. Obviously, I don't know more than you do, Robert, and I understand exactly where you're coming from. You got this vacation plan. The last thing you want to do is have the rug pulled out from under you. And certainly, I can't promise you that your sailing is going to happen. Full disclosure, it could be canceled. Any sailing could be canceled for that matter. But I think it's pretty unlikely. And as I think if I were you, I would sit tight. Look on the bright side. If Royal Caribbean does end up canceling the cruise, which I don't think is going to happen, you're going to get a sweet, sweet deal in terms of a refund and extra money to book another cruise. I think the chances are fairly remote. So now, again, I would have said that about the April 1st sailing last week. I'm here to still tell you the same thing. I'm certainly not worried about it. I don't think you should be either. Again, until there's a change, I just, while I can't, nobody knows the future, and I can't promise you anything. I I think you're still statistically better off sticking with what you got there. And I'm not surprised Royal won't change anything. Royal doesn't make changes for these things like maybe your cruise gets canceled, maybe there's a hurricane. They don't do that kind of thing there. So your best bet and really your only option at this point is to hold pat and hopefully you'll be able to enjoy your cruise ride. But hopefully you'll get on that sailing and come in here on this live chat and say, Matt, you were right. It went off like without a hitch. Hakeem was here. I met Hakeem on the Wonder this is not once, but 2 or 3 times. What a great guy. Really, really nice. Made our 9:35 a.m. flight last Sunday. You madman. You absolute madman. Glad to hear it, Hakeem. William, thank you for the super chat. Are the WoW bands used on Wonder? Yes, they are. We were able to use them all week long. So, yep, no problems at all. Julie Hall. Julie, thank you for the super chat. Just Wonder does these have a Broadway style play? No. There's no musicals. They do have Effectors 2, which is an original Royal Caribbean production. It's kind of a superhero show. There's singing in it, but I wouldn't call it a Broadway style show anyway. But yeah. And yeah, The Wizard of Oz, very interesting, huh? I was not expecting that announcement last week, certainly. Reed Johnson, with the basic internet package, can I make phone calls? You should be able to. I think the issue is going to be more the internet in general rather than your particular plan. With Starlink, when it works well, it's great. Unfortunately, I got to admit to you guys, this and Hakeem can tell you, the Starlink internet on Wonder this past week was terrible. It was great when we were on Wonder in December, but terrible this past week. I don't know if an anomaly, what's going on there. Hopefully an anomaly, but yeah, it was disappointing to say the least. Bailey says, will the Oasis class ships come to Australia? You know, pre-pandemic, I think Royal Caribbean really was going to send one over there. Certainly, they were going to send one to China. Wonder of the Seas, that was the original plan there. And since China is a seasonal cruise area, you know, it would have made sense that it would have gone down to Australia for the winter or the summer rather. But who knows, Bailey? You know, at this point, you've got a couple factors at play. Australia is still starting to. They had a great cruise season. They're wrapping up right now down under, as you know. And I feel like the season was like it was like 2021 in the United States. It was kind of this like standing up still phase, right? But hopefully if things go well, and most importantly, if China reopens, I think there's a better shot at an Oasis class ship in Australia, but I don't know more than you do. Eric says, question, I just want to confirm that I can reserve a boarding time when I check in the app, even if I don't upload a passport right away. Correct. Yes, 100%. I do this every single time, Eric. Yes. Travel the Caribbean 2009. Have I ever been on a Caribbean cruise? I have not been on a Caribbean cruise. Some of my writers have done both. I've done both Carnival and Royal Caribbean, and I think a lot of there's pros and cons to everything. I'm the first to admit, guys, Royal Caribbean is not perfect. There are things that other cruise lines do better. Actually did a video about things I wish Royal Caribbean would steal from other cruise lines. Like in the case of Carnival, I wish that Royal Caribbean had more complimentary, really good food venues near the pool. So it's not always butterflies and unicorns here in the world of Royal Caribbean. Miley wants to know, what is my favorite Royal Caribbean ship and why? Wonder of the Seas. It's just got latest and greatest. Love the tweaks, additions, and changes there, Miley. It just hits all the high notes for me. Some new dining venues, great entertainment. Love it. And thank you, Miley, for the very kind compliment. Jay Gold, Jay Gold, thank you for the super chat. Are Johnny Rockets drinks included with the drink package? Yes, they are. Jeff Durling, Jeff, thank you for the super chat, my friend. Any new info on the Sunset Suites on Icon? Nothing that Royal Caribbean said. No updates there. I think, Jeff, when you get to a little bit closer to the cruise, certainly like 4, 5, 6 months from now, we'll get more information on that. So yeah. Tom Garrison recommends Fox from MEI Travel. Fox is one of the travel agents at MEI Travel. Not only do they have an awesome name, I wish my name was Fox. What a great name, Matt. I mean, Matt's good, but come on, Fox. Great. It's like Max Power. What a great name. Let's see here. Rage Shifty. What is your favorite specialty restaurant on Wonder and your favorite bar on Wonder? Ooh, Mason Jar is my favorite bar on Wonder this season, no doubt about it. Favorite specialty restaurant? It's a tie, either Izumi Hibachi or 150 Central Park. I can go to those restaurants every day of the cruise. I really like them quite a bit. Those are my top two. But the Mason Jar bar, between the great drinks, the peanut butter and jelly old fashioned, and the music, the country trio there, love it. So good. Mark Castell, thank you for the super chat. 32 days till my first translate on Odyssey. Are you excited for the Wizard of Oz and likely Effectors 3 on Icon? Hopefully on time. I listen in this day and age, Mark. You know, with Royal Caribbean and entertainment in Royal Caribbean, I trust because I know they're going to do a great job. Nick Weir and his team are amazing. They put out amazing things there. I'm excited to see what Wizard of Oz is going to be because it is not going to be based on the Andrew Lloyd Webber show. It's actually an original production. It's not a copy of the 2011 musical adaptation by Andrew Lloyd Webber. So I don't know. It's going to be a very intriguing option there. But I love this idea of delving into the musicals again and a well-known brand like Wizard of Oz and some really interesting things there. So yes, I'm very intrigued. Absolutely. Let's see here. David Alvarado. David, thank you for the super chat. 29 days till grandeur booked on a whim. Nice. Found out we spent enough in the casino on Harmony to get a free cruise. Look at that. Love that. Well, listen, number one, the price is right. That's the most important thing. When you can get a free cruise, what David's alluding to, how do you get a free cruise on Royal Caribbean? Well, there's a couple of ways, but and again, your definition of free may vary here. What David's alluding to is if you gamble enough in Royal Caribbean, you can actually earn a free cruise. There's two ways to do it. One is you gamble a lot on one sailing and you accrue points. Every dollar you spend in the casino, you can earn points for the casino. And if you spend enough, you can get a free t-shirt or some onboard credit. And if you spend a lot, you can actually get a free cruise. The more common way is if you spend enough points over the year between April 1st and March 31st, you can actually earn a free cruise if you can hit the prime tier, which is the first, or I guess the second tier in Crown and Anchor Society. So again, it's a free cruise in the sense that you didn't pay for the cruise. You just pay for taxes and fees. Yes, you still got Crown and Anchor points for them. But of course, you're spending money in the casino, like losing money in the casino. But, at the end of the day, it's still a cruise you weren't paying for. So it's a really neat benefit there. Again, I wouldn't advocate you should gamble in order to get a cruise. It's still going to be cheaper in the long run for you just book cruises out there. But hey, if you're going to gamble anyway, what a great perk. And a lot of people take advantage of that. Let's see here. Ryan wants to know, can you use onboard credit for your deposit with Next Cruise? No, because you don't use your CPass card for Next Cruise purchases. When you go to Next Cruise and you book another cruise while on Royal Caribbean, they're going to charge your credit card, not your CPass account. Thus, for that reason, you cannot book a cruise with onboard credit. By the way, Chantel, thank you for banning that person. I just saw all those messages. There. Shout out to Chantel and our amazing moderators here, guys, because without them, you'd all have a ton of spam in here and it wouldn't be no bueno. Next question is from Jennifer. Did the kids menu in the main dining room change to a little bit? Definitely has a new look to it, but the same things in there, spaghetti, and that doesn't change it. It's the same menu every day of the cruise. In fact, one night, Jennifer, I ordered the spaghetti from the kids menu. It's on the regular menu, so you can totally do that as well. Chris, you are very welcome, my friend. Ian, thank you for the super chat. Any recommendations for decent hotels in Miami? We actually have a whole article. If you Google Royal Caribbean blog Miami hotels, done a whole article on hotel recommendations. Intercontinental and the DoubleTree Biscayne Bay are my two go-to recommendations for hotels in Miami. Stayed at them, love them. They're really good. The Intercontinental is not cheap, but the DoubleTree Biscayne Bay is generally affordable. I mean, it's Miami. It's a city. You're going to pay a lot. You'll find a little bit better prices if you stay near the airport. Let's see here. Next question is from Gnome. Can I book a cruise a week before? If there's availability, yes. The issue is not so much can you, but the issue is will there be any availability? Because these days, cruise ships are selling very full. But if there is a cabin left a week before the cruise, yeah, you could book it. I mean, you're probably going to get very limited selection of cabins. You're probably paying a lot more for that cabin than somebody who booked it weeks or months before you did. So, yeah. Baked and Afraid wants to know, do solos pay double price? The answer is yes. Unless you book a studio cabin, you'll pay the single supplement fee, which definitely is the double price right there. So, yeah. Jake, thank you for the super chat. What is the number one affordable beach resort you'd recommend when ship docks in Nassau for the day? Oh, the starts the W. It's at Jake. Go to resortforaday.com and it's not the Winston, but it's like that. It's the resort for a day doc. If I could type, that would be really dangerous. Oh man, it's gonna bother me. I gotta look it up, guys. Destinations Nassau. I'm sure people are already slamming in the chat. Matt, it's this one. It is the Warwick. It's not the cheapest one out there. I mean, you could go to the cheapest one there is going to be Serenity Bay Pass at British Colonial. Um, I don't recommend it. I've been there a couple times. It's okay, and the hotel itself is like closed or being renovated or being sold. I don't know what the status is. I wouldn't recommend that one. I'd spend a little bit more money. The Warwick, actually, what's interesting is the Margaritaville is cheaper than the Warwick, and so is the Breezes. The Warwick, I can tell you, is good. We've sent writers there. They like that one. So maybe I would do the Margaritaville Beach Resort as an alternative to that. And all that resortforaday.com. Mary making acrylic pour painting. Thank you for the super chat. Is there any way to find out what the theme nights will be on our cruise? A couple days before you're sailing, like 2 or 3, in the app, it'll get loaded in there and you'll be able to see it. The other way you could do it is go to royalcaribbeanblog.com, go to the cruise compasses, and find a past cruise compass for the sailing you've done. They don't change it up. It's the same themes if you find the same ship and itinerary that you're going on. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. There. No. Yes, I found your message here. Matthew says, any thoughts or suggestions about Trinidad and Tobago, considering jewel season January or February from Puerto Rico? Where to stay in Puerto Rico? In Puerto Rico, there is a great hotel. I've stayed there a couple times, and I recommend it every single time. The Sheraton in Old San Juan is right there, in the heart of Old San Juan. It's actually the hotel. If your ship docks for the day there, it's right there. You still have to take a taxi to where the ships depart from for cruises that begin in San Juan. But it's a great location. You can walk around very easily. That's a great hotel. But I've not been to Trinidad. If anybody in our chat has a good recommendation for a tour for Matthew in Trinidad, I'd love to know what those are as well myself. Beautiful Anne, thank you for the super chat. First cruise on Mariner with 4 kids and under. Reservations say birthday celebration for the 4 of us. Do they do anything for birthdays close to our sailing, or no purpose in making it? There's a purpose in the sense that, I mean, you're not gonna get, I don't know what you're expecting, but I mean, basically, if it's on the reservation, when you go to a venue like a restaurant, they may know about it without you saying something, so they can say, hey, happy birthday, or something to that effect. Maybe they'll get a cake brought out to you. That's about the extent of it. I mean, maybe you'll get lucky in something more than that, but that's pretty much what you can expect there. Or maybe none of that, quite frankly. Lauren Lisco. Lauren, thank you for the super chat. Is it safe to plan on including Izumi Hibachi in our dining package plans and book on board, or should I book it separately to lock in a reservation? That's a good question. Let me put it this way, Lauren. I can't promise you anything, so let's be very, very clear about that. But when I go on a cruise, and you can ask anybody, you can ask my wife if she would ever come on camera, she'll tell you this is what we do. We number one, Lauren, we try to get on the ship as early as we can, and we make a reservation once on board, and we've had pretty good luck with that. I don't think we've ever run into a situation if we do it on day one, especially if you get there, in that, morning hours, we've had good luck getting a spot for us there. So you just can't lollygag on that, certainly. Can't promise you anything, but that's been my strategy going forward. Arthea, thank you for the question. Is it true that water in bottles are maybe going away? I heard that. Any news on the WoW bands coming back on all ships? At this point, they're just coming back. The WoW bands are only coming back to the Oasis Quantum class ships minus Anthem of the Seas, or excuse me, Allure of the Seas. Beyond that, no, I've not heard of any plans to bring WoW bands back to other ships that didn't have them before the pandemic. So, yeah. Stu wants to know, is there any way to get WoW bands before boarding? No, you got to wait till you get on board the ship. Go to guest services and you can buy them over there. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. Alex, I don't see a message from you, my friend. I'll keep an eye out for it. Alex, thank you for the super chat. Oh, there it is. I found it, Alex. Found it. Any recommendation on vacation insurance? Is it necessary? It's not necessary, but I do recommend them. Travel insurance, it's like all insurance, Alex, right? Whether it's travel, medical, auto, It's a waste of money until you actually need it, then it's amazing, right? So, when it comes to travel insurance, number one, they're not all the same. So don't assume, this company, oh, I'm going to go buy travel insurance from the first place I can find, or the company I'm about to say right now, and assume that's the best option for you. Look at the policy. Be very clear, Alex, about when it kicks in. Read the policy. Please read the policy so you understand it, because you're talking about weather related issues. They do cover some. You need to figure out exactly when that works. Anyway, Allianz Travel is the one I always go with. I don't have an affiliation with them whatsoever, but they have a good reputation. That's why I book with them. Let's see here. Emily wants to know, is there any way to purchase internet for a few hours or a full day versus the entire cruise? Yes. You have to wait till you get on board the ship, Emily, and you can buy a 24-hour pass once on board the ship. So, and Alex, thank you again for the super chat. I think you got me twice there, but I answered your question there. So again, don't assume with the travel insurance. People go, oh, okay, Matt's gonna get travel insurance. All right, here's the first travel insurance page I see. Anyway, a good website, Alex, is insuremytrip.com. It's an aggregator of travel insurance quotes, and they can get you a good idea and help sift through the different options for you. Aaron Ross, thank you for the super chat. 52 days till Alaska on Ovation. Not been on Celebrity. Love the articles on the blog page. Thank you. Classic drink package, $89 a day for a limit of $10 a drink. Seems like a lot. Is that at least top shelf liquor? For Celebrity, it's a little bit different than Royal Caribbean, certainly. I mean, with all the drink packages, Aaron, here's what you got to know, right? It is a lot of money up front, just like the Royal Caribbean ones. The difference is, depending on if you drink enough, it's going to be worth it, right? And that's when you add tax and gratuities in, uh, it definitely gets up there. So Aaron, if you're in that ballpark, if you got drink packages on Royal Caribbean, I think a Celebrity one would make sense for you as well. Andy, yes, you're absolutely right that China has reopened, but what I'm talking about is removing the protocols that go with it. It's a very good point there. Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. What a generous super chat as well. Is it possible to get off the ship in one port and get back on the next day at a different port? I'm interested in staying overnight in Paris, and our itinerary has 2 stops in France. Unfortunately, I don't think you can. This is an interesting question. I know you can't do downlining. Downlining is when your cruise begins somewhere, and let's say your cruise ends in Rome, but you want to get off the ship in Paris, and that's it. Like, peace out. This is all I need to go do. You can't do that. I don't think you can do what you're asking, but I don't know definitively what Royal Caribbean's policy is on this. You could ask. I would ask, but I would assume the answer is no, personally. But I've never tried asking there. Beautiful Anne, thank you for the super chat. Oh, thank you again, or I answered your question anyway. Thank you, Anne, for your generosity. I appreciate you. Thank you. Tyler, thank you for the super chat. I go on to take my mom on her first cruise around October. What ship do you recommend for a first timer? An Oasis or Quantum class ship, Tyler? So, Wonder of the Seas, Odyssey of the Seas, Oasis of the Seas, Harmony of the Seas, Symphony. They're great ships. Those are good ones for you. No doubt about that. Roy wants to know, are you an official of Royal Caribbean? No, I'm not, because you upload the Making Icon videos. Correct. Royal Caribbean shares those videos with us, tells us, please share them with your channel. But no, I'm not an employee. We're not affiliated with Royal Caribbean at all in any capacity. Michelle, thank you very much. Appreciate you. Katie wants to know, is the Cocoa Beach Club really worth the price point? Debating for a May cruise. Listen, if you've never been there, Katie, listen, it's expensive. It's not quite stupid expensive, but it's getting there. That being said, Katie, if you've never done it before, do it, because it's a really cool experience. Do it at least once. But if you can afford it, obviously. Don't break the bank. Don't mortgage your house. Don't be like, well, maybe we pay the bills this month. Don't do that. If you can afford it comfortably, but it is a lot of money, I say roll the dice and go for it. It's a really nice way to spend the time, at least once. Mark Fisher, are dress shirts allowed in the main dining room? Heck, dress shorts. I mean, no, I'm not your dad. I can't tell you what to do, but you wouldn't be the first one to wear shorts in the dining room. Let's put it that way. Jonathan Harmon, thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. 350 days to Liberty. My fare came with $100 at the casino. Can I use that at the tables, or is that only for the slots? I think it's both. I don't see why you wouldn't be able to use it for the tables. I never tried that particular option there. The fact your fare came with $100 at the casino, you'd have to check, who are you getting that from? Is that from the Casino Royale? Is it from a travel agent? Usually it says in the fine print there. So, yeah. Tasha, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you, Tasha. I don't see a message from you, Tasha, but I'll keep an eye out for it. Oh, there it is. I found it, Tasha. Um, how long does the hibachi experience take? About 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours. Depends on, excuse me, a couple different factors, but right around 90 minutes or so, I would say is pretty much what you can expect there. Maybe 2 hours at the worst. So, Maddie wants to know what's my favorite port on Oasis of the Seas? Port or part? Like port you call or like area on the ship? It's area on the ship. Um, the barbecue place is fantastic. Um, the Central Park Trellis Bar, I love that place quite a bit. Otherwise, favorite port. I mean, there's so many great ports out there. So in Puerto Rico, Cozumel, love those places. Let's see here. Tom wants to know how much do you have to bet to get a free cruise? It's not so much like it's not a threshold. Basically, number one, there's an algorithm, Tom. Like you spend so much dollars and you get so many points from Royal Caribbean. You get more points if you do slots and you do table games. And there's kind of this black box behind it, Tom. So I can't answer that question for you. But for the free cruise, you'd have to accrue 2,500 points across any sailings between April 1st and March 31st. Now that's not $2,500 because it's not dollar to point. More than that. So it kind of depends. It's a lame answer, but honestly, the answer right there. Dave E, thank you for the super chat. Going on Harmony, the app ship deck does not reflect the inside cabins correctly. All the information is correct. Yeah, the app, love the Royal Caribbean app, but it is not a great source of truth, Dave. So I'm not terribly surprised to hear that. The Teresa McChain. Teresa, thank you for the super chat. Guess you were stuck with me pre-group cruise because my friends both abandoned me and are doing the 4-day prior to the group cruise. You know what, Teresa? The real party is going to be in San Pedro or wherever we decide there, Teresa. Trust me, you don't want to be with those guys. Those knuckleheads, they're going to be napping. And yeah, we don't need. As Kesha, I think, once said, the party don't start till I walk in. So that's what it's all about right there. Let's see here. Nick Wong. Nick, my friend, thank you again for the super chat. Let's see here. Wow, you got a countdown of Indy, Quantum, and the Rhapsody of the Seas Panama Canal Group Cruise. Woohoo! MEI is the best. You and your team are the best. It's cruising season. Nick, I appreciate you quite a bit. Thank you for your generosity. Love that. Janice, no, you may not, but thank you for asking. I appreciate you at least asking because most people don't do that. That's, yeah. Richard Simpson, thank you for the super chat. 6 days to Oasis for my wife's surprise 40th. With my kids, arcade credit be on my kids' CPass cards, and how do I limit the spending on their cards? You can go once you're on board the ship. You can go to guest services and limit the spending, and set that all up for you. It's pretty easy. You just need to go to guest services and do that. But the credit is on whoever's account you bought it on. So if you bought it under your account, which is pretty likely, like when you go to buy it in the cruise planner, and it says, "All right, who's this for?" and if you select you, then it's on yours. If you select your kids, it's on your kids. So yeah. Let's see here. Mr. Mena, thank you for the super chat. Going to Charlotte Amalier and Basseterre. Sorry for the misspell. St. Kitts. So St. Thomas and St. Kitts for all of you playing at home. I look for all-inclusive resorts. I don't see many. What is there to do besides shopping? In St. Thomas, there really isn't any that I'm aware of. St. Kitts, we went to the Marriott resort, and it was great. I had a really nice time there. Resortpass.com, Mr. Mena. Resortpass.com. Resort for a day, you might have it as well, but I got mine through Resort Pass. We actually got a room and a day pass, which was awesome. So, yeah. Let's see here. Next question. Lots of great questions so far. Love this. Mary, thank you for the super chat. My app still shows alert in Galveston. When will the ship move to Port Canaveral in the app update? Later in November of this year, I believe, is when that change occurs, Mary, and then Harmony goes over there. So, yep. Chronic wants to know, is it safe to say that the same performers will be on our ship off the February cruise compass if our sailing is April 9th? Actually, no. I mean, the answer is nobody knows. Remember, literally every performer is on a different contract, and contracts change. It is amazing how many people can change, crew members can change in the matter of a few weeks or even months, Chronic. I was on Wonder in December, and I came back here in March, so less than 3 months. And there were very few crew members I recognized from venues I went to a lot. So, yeah, I would say it's not safe to say that. There's a lot of turnover because contracts are always on different schedules there. Patrick O'Donohue. Patrick, thank you for the super chat. Who do you tip in cash when on board when you have included gratuities in your fare? Super thanks for everything. I always tip the waiters when I get a drink, even if I have a drink package. I always just give them an extra dollar anyway. The porters, obviously, they're not included with your fare, so you probably already know that. Um, I think with just waiters, and why do I tip them? Because the gratuity is already included with a drink package. I tip them an extra dollar because honestly, they'll come back to you, a little bit better service, and I think they deserve it, quite frankly. So I'll do that, especially for diamond drinks, which there's no gratuity included with that on their own. So I think it's very much behooven. It certainly is a good idea to tip on that. Other than that, just short on shore, Patrick. But yeah, basically drinks primarily. Oh, one more. Sorry, I forgot. At the end of the cruise, depending on the crew member, I may tip the main dining room staff, the stateroom attendants. Like I know they're already getting the gratuity. I may give them a little bit extra money. Like I'm not tipping them like with the idea that I'm not tipping the automatic, but like here's an extra whatever, right? And also if you're in a suite, the suite concierge would also be one right there. Andre wants to know, how do you book Nachi Kokum? It's not through Royal Caribbean. No, you got to book it on the Nachi Kokum website. So just Google Nachi Kokum Cozumel. You'll find it there. You can book it over there. Tom says, got a tip for us here, guys. One tip I think you should bring up somewhere is always check your onboard purchases log every day. I agree 100%. That's a really good tip right there to avoid surprises either when you get home or at the end of the cruise. So it's a really, really, really good idea. Jasmine wants to know how to use MEI travel. Oh, no, it's really easy. Go to royalcaribbeanblog.com, and then there's a big giant yellow form. Fill that out. They will contact you over there, or hit up Fox or Jennifer or Jen or any of the other awesome agents we have in the chat right now. I see Jennifer Kellen is in here. Jen Green is here. They're all great. But honestly, just fill out the form, and it's pretty simple. They'll contact you. Let's see. Ooh, Samuel Jackson wants to know, can I change the date of my cruise while transferring my deposit over to a new date? It kind of depends on a lot of factors. Are you past final payment or not? What's the new pricing on there? By default, you could try calling in Royal. It depends on who you booked with. If your travel agent, like as an example, my travel agent at MEI Travel was able to do that for me in certain circumstances. You can certainly call it in if you book directly with Royal Caribbean, but it's very much, Sam, I got to tell you, it's very much a YMMV. Your mileage may vary situation. I can't, Royal Caribbean seems to have very much a differing policy depending on who you talk to and the circumstances, quite frankly. So, let's see. Oh, Ian, by the way, here's the answer going back to that Trinidad question. We just did the Buco Reef glass bottom boat and nylon pools 2 weeks ago, and it was amazing. There you go. So thank you for the recommendation. Appreciate you. Carrie S, thank you for the super chat. Is there ever a time when Nachi Kokum pool isn't glacier cold? Probably like in August or September when it's been like the hottest for the longest period of time, but it's always like that. I think they must drain the pool a lot. That's my only thing, but keep drinking until it's not cold anymore. John Lusk, thank you for the super chat, my friend. John, I don't see a message from you, but I do appreciate you. Thank you very much for your super chat. Our gravy, any safety measures in place for babies on board? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, yes, but there's safety measures for everybody on board. I'm not sure I understand your question, our gravy. Like, can you elaborate as to what you're like? What do you mean? What kind of safety measures for what and what case? But yes, but I didn't know like kind of what you're getting at in order to better answer this question. Basti Man, is there no Jazz on 4 on Wonder? Correct. Jazz on 4 is now a casino. Correct. So basically, what they do, Basti Man, is the jazz band that would perform in Jazz on 4 performs in Central Park at night. So works out pretty well, actually. Next question is from Evan. Best hotels with a shuttle to Galveston Port. It's a double-edged sword. Double-edged problem. Number one, I don't I don't have any recommendations that I've stated. So there's that. Number two, actually don't prefer hotels with shuttles. I think the problem is, in my opinion, number one, I hate shuttle services because you're going on someone else's schedule. They're limited. You can be waiting around a lot. But number two, you're limiting your selection of hotels. You may find a better deal at a better hotel and then just do Lyft or Uber, which is what I would do, Evan. So for what that's worth. But I don't have a good recommendation for one. If anybody in the chat can recommend a hotel to Galveston, somewhere between Houston and Galveston that has a shuttle there, that'd be a good option. But always remember, you can always do Lyft or Uber. It's pretty simple. And then it goes on your schedule right there. Next question is from Eric. If you have the ultimate dining package, you go to Chops at 5 and again at 9. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're open at 9, but yes, you can. Absolutely. You can definitely do that. Eric, I don't think you're going to want to. There's plenty of food in the first seating, but yeah, absolutely. There's no limit on that. Jonathan Hartman, favorite thing on Liberty of the Seas. Saturday Night Fever, the only ship that has this Broadway show, is definitely a really, really cool thing. And Sabor, especially restaurant. It's a dying breed, but I really like it. David Alvarado again with a super chat. If from Casino Royale, they will only let you spend the credits on the slots. Oh, this goes back to the question about they got $100 voucher thing. So if you get it from Casino Royale, it's only available to spend on credit on the slots. Otherwise, you can just get your chips at the table and then cash them in. There you go, David. Thank you so much for your generosity and the great recommendation. John recommends the Moody Gardens Hotel in Galveston is popular. A great name also. Thank you. Appreciate you. Let's see. AT4 engineer wants to know, does Mariner this season have a kids splash bay? They do not, which is unfortunate. They do not. William, thank you for the super chat. Are there Texas Hold'em poker games available in the casino on Wonder of the Seas? Yes, they do. You just have to, Texas Hold'em. I'm pretty sure they have tables for that one. I'm like the world's worst poker savant. They do have Ultimate Poker and 3-card poker, and I'm pretty sure Texas Hold'em they do on there. Guys, correct me if I'm wrong in the chat. If I'm wrong on that one, but I'm pretty sure about that. Christina says, going on a cruise in June. How good is the early check-in? I've heard that they are attempting to let people in regardless of check-in time. I think it's still to your advantage, Christina, get the earliest check-in time you can. Doesn't matter what they're doing. It's a safer bet. If you have the choice, definitely get the earlier check-in time. Josh Perry, thank you for the super chat. Think about purchasing the unlimited dining package. How does a la carte restaurants work? At a la carte restaurants, you get a stipend, Josh. So basically, you get a certain amount of money you could spend at that restaurant. Anything over that, you'd be on the hook for. So hope that makes sense. Josh, thank you for the super chat. Chris wants to know, what is the best place to get Mexican food on board any ship? Depends on the ship. If they have El Loco Fresh, then it's El Loco Fresh. If they have Sabor, then it's Sabor. Otherwise, if there's any, you just have to have the luck that there's actually a Mexican food in the Windjammer, or the main dining room for that matter. So yeah. Teddy wants to know, should I be worried cruising to Cozumel while there's danger in Mexico? No, I mean, listen, there's risk everywhere in the world, and I can't nobody can promise you about risks and all that. A couple things. Number one, the media makes a big deal about violence because they like to scare people. I'm not trying to downplay the risk of the violence in Mexico. The cartel stuff is dangerous stuff. But generally speaking, when we've seen violence in Mexico over the years, there's been plenty of it, plenty of State Department warnings about it. It's relegated to outside tourist areas, especially Cozumel, which is literally an island not attached to the mainland there. So it's scary. Trust me, I get that. But there's a couple things that I think about. Number one, the chances of it impacting you seem extremely low. Number two, this is Royal Caribbean. This is livelihood here. The last thing they want is any kind of negative publicity associated with anybody being kidnapped or anything like that. I believe the kidnappings all occurred like elsewhere, not related to the Riviera area or the well, there's the Mexican Riviera and the Mayan Riviera. Anyway, you know what I mean. Where the cruise ships go to. So while no one knows the future, Teddy, I'm going to Cozumel April 15th on Mariner of the Seas. 2 stops, Costa Maya and Cozumel. I'm not even thinking twice about it personally. So, be vigilant, be smart about what you're doing. But should I be worried? I mean, I'm not gonna. All I'm gonna say is that I am personally not worried about my things. I can't tell you what you should or shouldn't do, or anybody should do. Quite frankly, I'm not the end all be all of what is or not safe. I'm not. I would be. It would be remiss of me to tell anybody in here about that you should ignore State Department warnings or anything like that. I'm just simply going into it on my cruise. I'm certainly looking forward to my sailing. I'm not worried about that on a personal level. Next question. Aaron Ross again with a super chat. Would love to do chef's table, but wine has not been very kind to my stomach these days. Anything real can do with drink substitutions? Yeah, I mean, number one, you don't have to do the wine. You don't have to drink the wine if you don't want to. I don't know that they can substitute like beer or something like that, but you can very easily say, "Oh no, thank you, I'm not drinking, but I'm here for the awesome, awesome food." That wouldn't be a problem at all. Next question is from Trey, the big bro. My wife and I aren't big drinkers, but we plan to celebrate our wedding anniversary. With that being said, is it a good idea to buy a drink package or go a la carte? No, if you're not a big drinker, don't get the drink package. This is I think I did an article, maybe I did the video about this, also the misconceptions about this recently. Anyway, no, you can totally go a la carte. If you're not a big drinker, the drink package is definitely not a good idea for you. The drink package only makes sense, Trey, if you're going to have like, 4 or 5 drinks a day every day of your cruise. So it sounds like that's not the case. And you're going to be way better off simply booking or buying drinks as you go. I think it's going to be much to your advantage. So, yeah, no, you're totally good on that. No problems at all. Jennifer wants to know if I paid the gratuity already, do I tip the room service extra too? Yes, room service is not the same. The gratuities you prepay, Jennifer, covers your stateroom attendant and the dining room staff. Room service is not part of that. So yes, I absolutely do. And thank you. I forgot about that. So about 30 minutes ago, when somebody asked me about where I tip on a cruise with cash, room service is another one. So thank you for reminding me about that, Jennifer. Appreciate you. That Florida family. What's considered smart casual attire? I'll be honest with you, nobody knows. It's meaningless, honestly. Just wear something nice. That's all. Don't worry about it. Nobody's going to be at the door being like, that's not smart casual. Nobody cares. It's nobody even knows what it means. Let's see here. Next question is from Tree Teacher. What roller coasters have I not been on? I've not been on Enchantment or Radiance or Spectrum, Voyager. So there's still a couple out there I've not been on. Next question is from Scott. Any advice on a Mediterranean cruise leaving Athens, ending in Venice, sailing on the Enchantment of the Seas? Book your tours in advance. That's my best advice to you. Book something, whether it's the Royal Caribbean or not, but book them as early as you can to get things locked in over there. Next question is from Blake Evans. Blake, thank you for the super chat. First cruise in November. What are the steps to boarding the ship? Kind of nervous about that. Ooh, Blake. So we've done a video about this. I don't want to give you like a lame answer and rattle off a couple things. Essentially, you're going to check in. If the ship is boarding, then you'll be directed to board the ship. Otherwise, you'll be directed to sit somewhere, and they'll call you, similar to like a boarding group on an airplane. And then that's it. You get to board the ship. You walk up what looks like a jetway, but brings you onto the cruise ship. But there's a much better answer for that. I've done a video about embarkation day, what it's like on a cruise recently, Blake. Came out earlier this year, so it's not too long ago. Check out that video, Blake. That's going to answer all your questions for you. Let's see. Jennifer Fullenkamp. Thank you, Jennifer, for the super chat. Have a junior suite on Wonder in May. During check-in, do we go to the suite side or the regular side? You go to the suite side. Yes. Thanks, Matt. You are super duper. No one ever calls me super duper anymore. I like that. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you. Sean, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate you. See a message from you, but thank you, my friend. Thank you. Ann Wheeler, thank you for the super chat. I learned so much from you before my February 27th cruise on Wonder. I binged so much of your content that whenever he had a question, my husband would ask me, what does your boyfriend Matt say about Awkward, but thank you. Dave O in the house. What's up, Dave? Wondering on your mix on dining on average. Do you do 50-50 MDR and specialty, or does it change from ship to ship? It really changes. I would say these days, on average, more like 70, 30, 80, 20. Sorry, primarily specialty. My wife likes it more. Like on this past cruise day, we did, all our dinners in main dining room, minus one, which was in the Windjammer. But most cruises, we might do a couple nights in the main dining room, but otherwise we do a lot of specialty because with the unlimited dining package, it's such a great value. It's hard to go wrong with that. So we tend to fall back on that as it were. Let's see here. Next question. Our gravy. Thank you for the super chat. Sailing on alert in 41 days, just coming off ankle surgery last week. Do ports like Costa Maya have any transportation options from ship to port? Yes, there is a. It's not like door to door, but there is a tram or tractor. I'm not sure what you want to call it, but it's a very long pier. But you can wait for that, and they will transport you from one end of the pier to the other end of the pier, and that will save you quite a bit of distance over there. So yes, look for that tram thing. Definitely where to go right there. Um, let's see here. Julia wants to know, can you show me how to book every show the night before departure? The night before departure would be too late, probably, Julia. What you want to do is about 30 days before your cruise, if you're on an Oasis or Quantum class ship, only those kinds, you can pre-book entertainment in the Royal Caribbean. Actually, I do through the Royal Caribbean website, not the app, but you can do it in the app, I think, as well. Anyway, either way, go in there, book it. You'll see the options listed for entertainment. Book it. You just click on the show, find the show time, reserve it. It's pretty straightforward. If you're not on a Oasis or Quantum class ship, if you're on Mariner of the Seas or Liberty of the Seas or Enchantment of the Seas, you can't pre-book in advance. You don't need to pre-book in advance. So that's pretty much it. But the reason why I say, book book the shows before depart. Oh, every night. Okay, I think I understand your question now. I can't read, Julie. You want to book your shows for every night of your sailing before departure about 30 days beforehand. I think it's easier personally to book it. No, maybe not. I don't know. I book it through the website, like royalcaribbean.com, log into my account, go through there. I mean, I guess you can book it in the app. There's no reason you can't do that as well. But basically, you click on each day, Julia. In the app, each day, you'll see the show time or the show. You can click on it and reserve it that way. Again, it's about 30 days beforehand. So, Mark Fisher, crap table minimum, $10. $10. Dennis, my pinnacle. I am not pinnacle. I'm still Diamond Plus. William wants to know, where did I get that lamp that is the base of the Royal Caribbean crown? It's actually this is actually the Royal Caribbean blog logo, and one of our awesome viewers, readers, listeners, Jim Gatton made for us. So thank you, Jim. Appreciate you. Let's see here. Next question. Chris Lewis, thank you for the super chat. Don't cruise until August, but how soon are we able to get tags for the suitcases? Are they emailed, and what are the steps for them? There's two ways to get them. One is you can wait for your e-docs to be delivered to you. It'll be the last page on there. You can print them out. But I just go to the website, Chris. About 45 days beforehand, when you log in to your account, you'll see the ability to print out tags on the website. So go over there. That's the easiest one to do. But if you otherwise wait for your e-docs to be emailed to you, and then you can print it out off that. And that's it. It's pretty straightforward. Next, we have heard that there are some squeaks and creaks in the staterooms. I wonder, what did you hear last week, if any at all? There are squeaks and creaks on any cruise ship. I mean, it depends on if the ship is moving or not. I mean, it's just, listen, you got a ship moving in the ocean. The ship has to move, it has to bend, it has to give a little bit, right? But it's not like, you're sitting there, it's like, it doesn't sound like the Haunted Mansion, okay? Generally speaking, I've had really good luck with not having too much noise there. Could you have a room that had one? Sure. In our cabin, we didn't really have an issue with that at all. I was able to sleep every night of the cruise. So if you're really worried about it, Doug, though, good precaution is to bring earplugs with you, and then you'll sleep pretty well. Or a noise machine, or a noise app, rather. Forget the noise machine. Just bring a noise app for your phone and go with there. Carrie, any noticeable difference in service the new main dining room menu? It was fast, dude. I mean, we were in and out every night in about 30, not just kidding. Right around 90 minutes. The earliest, the fastest was maybe about 70. But it was consistent and it was fast and it was great because we didn't have to worry about, like, oh gosh, we're still here. Where the heck is our food? How much longer? Never had to worry about that. Carrie, this week's podcast episode, I'll talk about that more in detail, but it was awesome. Recharging with Disney wants to know if the excursion is sold out prior to the cruise. Is there a chance it'll be bookable once on board? There is a chance. I've done this a couple times. I mean, a couple things. Number one, there could be extra spots once you get on board the ship. So here's what I would do. I'd go to the shore excursion desk on board and ask, hey, can I book this tour? If they say, I'm sorry, it's sold out, ask to be put on the wait list. So that way, if there are more spots or they are able to add more spots, you can go there. This doesn't work all the time, but it has worked for me in the past in certain scenarios. So, yeah. Let's see here. Next question is from Sarah, who wants to know, on Wonder of the Seas, does it feel crowded at full capacity? I mean, listen, there could be crowds places, but honestly, the Oasis class ships really do a great job of dispersing crowds, handling them well. Embarkation day probably is the worst day for on any ship, quite frankly, for crowds. But once you get the ship going and people are doing their thing and there's shows and there's napping for Tony Diaz and there's different events going on, it really does separate the crowds out quite nicely. Excuse me. Let's see here. C. Barry going on a cruise in 2 weeks, and it's transportation from port to pier in Nassau. They do have golf carts that you can wait for, and they do bring you over there. So yeah, just have to wait for them over there. Let's see. Next question. Aaron Ross again with super chat. Not sure if you discussed it, but the new main dining room menu. How was it? It was great. Had a really nice time. You know, here's what I'll say about the new main dining room. This is true of the old main dining room menu. I think most things in the main dining room menu are between good and very good. There's a few things that are great, like, wow, that was really great. And a couple that are like, I'm not ordering that again, right? But overall, it delivered exactly what they said it was going to. Great service, hot food. I burned my tongue a couple different times. I don't know how they get the French onion soup to be that level of thermonuclear hot, but they do it. And all the dishes were right at the right temperature, cooked exactly what we wanted them. And it was, I really enjoyed it. You know, it was nice having some new choices, lots of standby, lots of things from the old menus that I remember. I really liked it quite a bit. And having done it now for 7 nights, I did it quickly, a 3-night cruise back in January. I can safely say I think it's definitely delivered on what Royal Caribbean said they would do with that. So yeah. And we're a little over an hour, guys. We're gonna answer a couple more questions, and we're gonna head on out of here. And I apologize, I can't answer every single question over there. Big Tank Gaming wants to know, is it true you feel less movement on a larger ship compared to a little ship? And the answer is, I think the answer is no. Let me put it this way, Big Tank. Let's go with an extreme. If your ship is, if there are 20-foot waves, you're going to feel the movement whether you're in an Oasis or a Vision class ship. I think there's this misconception out there that, if you go on an Oasis class ship, you don't feel movement. I felt we were on Wonder of the Seas. There was movement there, right? So I don't think you should book your cruise. Oh, I should book a bigger ship or a smaller ship purely based on that fact. Now, listen, at the end of the day, if we want to talk physics for a second, obviously a bigger ship requires more movement for the ship to feel that movement, right? Like it's going to take the ocean and the wind, primarily the wind, has to have more energy to move a larger object. That's basic physics there. So there is some truth to it, but it's not to say that if you're on an Oasis class ship or a Quantum class ship, you don't feel movement on those ships. You'll feel them. I've been on ships like Wonder last week. We felt movement. It's not 100%. So want to make sure that's very, very clear there. And we have a question from Hillary. Hillary, thank you for the super chat. Tony Diaz supporter here. Cruise naps are the best. So listen, number one, I love cruise naps as well. I give Tony a lot of, what for taking a lot of naps. He takes his nap and then he also goes to bed at 7:30 p.m. But you know what? I love the napping aspect. You got lunch, you do something else, maybe trivia, and then like 1:30, 2 o'clock hits, and a cruise nap is where it is at. Yes. So I'm with. Listen, Tony, like a broken clock, is right at least twice a day. It's not always wrong. Oh goodness! And our last question of the day. Hey, Claudia with super chat coming in right at the last minute. Although I don't see a message from you, Claudia. So Bill Goldman, hello. Claudia, you got about a minute here to type your question in. Sometimes they get separated over there. Daz is a first-time cruiser. I'm selling for Southampton Anthem. What charging adapter do I need for charging my phones? They have both US and European outlets in your cabin. I'd bring USB. If at all possible, bring USB outlets, but US works fine. They don't change the outlets based on where the ship sails from. They'll have US outlets, they'll have a European outlet. They probably have more US than anything else. So definitely the way to go right there. Yeah, Mima love cruise naps. They are really, really good there. So yeah, love that. All right. Well, and on that note, guys, we're gonna head on out of here. Thank you so much for joining us here today. I know I didn't get to every single question. I apologize. We will be back next week right here on YouTube to answer more questions. Or in the meantime, you can post your questions over at royalcaribbeanblog.com. Our last question, excuse me, for realsies, our last question is from Claudia. How is it to sail out of Cape Liberty? Is it too cold? I don't know when you're going on a cruise out of Cape Liberty, but if you're going in the middle of winter, dead of winter, the first day it's gonna be chilly, right? But once you get to like the end of day 2, you get to the Carolinas and Georgia, it warms up considerably. I've done cruising out of Cape Liberty a number of times. If you live in the Northeast, Claudia, it's really nice to be able to just drive to your cruise port and not fly and not worry about luggages and all that kind of stuff right there. So in the summertime, it's great, but you don't have to worry about the cold or anything like that. But if you're doing a cruise in the wintertime, and I've done them, I've been on cruises, Claudia, in which there's snow on the ground out of Cape Liberty. We still have a great time. Listen, you obviously spending a lot more time indoors on the first day or two, but after that, it's wonderful. You forget all about it. So I would say that if you can drive to Cape Liberty because you live somewhere in the area, definitely do it. If you live somewhere else in the country and you're flying, no matter what, there's an argument to be made that you should do a cruise out of Florida or somewhere else because you'll have a more varied itinerary. I think the biggest issue with cruises out of Cape Liberty is the lack of itineraries because of the distance required. But if you live around the area, it is great. All right, guys. Have a great. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. We got another super chat coming in here from Mr. Russ Crawford. I can't do it justice with Russ's awesome accent. It's time for tequila on the beach, my friend. Russ, tell Denise you got to book Mariner April 15th because we're going back to Costa Maya. You know what that means. Need you there, buddy. But otherwise, if not, have a great time, Russ. Thank you for your generosity. And so Russ, I loved Russ and his wife Denise. I got a quick story before we go. They're from Kentucky. They have a southern drawl to the way they say it. And I was with Russ at Costa Maya last time. We might have had a couple shots there. And his wife goes to me at the end. She goes, "Matt, thank you for getting my husband drunk." And it was just, I love it. I love them. They're great people. But she was not happy. I was delivering her beloved husband back in a drunken stupor at that point. But we had a nice time. A good time was had by all. So thank you guys. Have a great week, everybody. Stay safe out there. Do something fun. And we'll talk again very soon right here on YouTube. Bye, everybody.